Civil Aviation Authority, Roger Tombo Ngene, has been spanned a 12-year jail term by the Special Criminal Court in the capital city of the over the embezzlement of 300 million from CFA. And also in this news, as head of state Paul Biya says that doors are opened for French businessmen to invest in Cameroon and that the country is a vast construction site. And also in this news, as we take a look at the fire incident that took place in the economic capital Douala that claimed the life of a one-year-old baby. This and more in this newscast. Thanks once again, viewers, for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on ATV. We begin right away here in the economic capital Douala, where a 1-year, 6-month-old baby died around Boulangerie du Lycée in Bonaberi after a fire outbreak. Reports say occupants of the house were alerted about the incident, hurried to remove valuable items, forgetting the baby inside of the house. We hear firefighters arrived at the scene when the clapboard apartment had been completely ravaged by the flames, and even efforts by locals to put out the flames were equally fruitless, and the baby has been laid to rest, and it was this morning in the neighborhood. Meanwhile, head of state Paul Biya has described Cameroon as a vast construction site and has invited French businessmen to invest in Cameroon. The head of state was speaking during an economic meeting today with the French businessmen in Paris as he continues his tour in that part of Europe. And he also encouraged them to join a venture with Cameroonian businessmen in both small and medium-sized enterprises, in the both small and medium-sized sector in the country. Collie told the French businessmen that developmental projects like the construction of roads and other infrastructure could be a domain for the French businessmen to venture in. And still, as far as Biya's visit in France is concerned, during his tete-a-tete yesterday with François Hollande, as well as journalists in France, Paul Biya talked about his stay in power, as well as the Malian crisis, as well as other important issues. And staff lady Annabella comes back to the burning issues that were raised yesterday during his interview with journalists. Her report.
For the first time after ruling for 31 years, President Paul Biya makes mention about his stay or longevity in power. Paul Biya says he is not tired. Besides, he was elected by Cameroonians and will continue his mandate to execute the wish of his electors. One other burning issue raised during Paul Biya's sejourn in Paris was that of homosexuality. The president said he did not discuss homosexuality with François Hollande, but maintains that the practice is a crime in Cameroon and punishable by the penal code even before he came to power. Curiously enough, Paul Biya said the society is evolving and things might change. Reading above the lines, the president meant to say in years to come, homosexuality, which is dreaded by a majority of Cameroonians, might one day be legalized in the country. And now talking about CANAC and its activities, Paul Biya categorically said there exists no torture or maltreatment of detainees, and also said there are no political prisoners in Cameroon. In relation with the detention of French-born Michel Thierry Atangana, the president made it clear that he doesn't know Michel personally, he knows him only on paper for a corruption scandal. So, Thierry Atangana cannot be his political rival. Justice has to take its course, Paul Biya concluded. He also affirmed that his people do not live in total security.
Mais nous avons à faire face à un certain nombre de problèmes, les problèmes de sécurité maritime, la situation au Mali.
The crisis in Mali was also on the agenda of a tete-a-tete between Paul Biya and François Hollande. The Cameroonian president lauded the move by France to intervene in Mali following threats by rebels to destabilize or threaten the peace of the country. He made mention of Cameroon's assistance by dispatching hundreds of troops to the troubled nation. While talking to journalists in France, President Paul Biya concluded by saying his visit to Paris was centered on bilateral relations between Cameroon and France, which he describes as excellent.
Ce qu'on peut retenir, c'est que les relations franco-camerounaises sont bonnes, je dirais même excellentes.
That is what Head of State Paul Biya told journalists yesterday in the Republic of France. Now the entire population of the Nyong and Kele division have expressed their wish for the new senior divisional officer for the area to maintain his collaborative attitude for the growth of that division. They were speaking as the administration or the administrator went visiting some public and private institutions in the area. Ranibel Satowara tells us more in the following report.
The new senior divisional officer of the Nyong and Kele division in the central region of the country recently paid a working visit to all public, para-public and private institutions in his area of competence. He said just like the case with all newly assigned, he carried out the 3 days working visit to get himself acquainted with every institution in Ezeka and beyond. The senior divisional officer said his visit was equally to get himself versed with some of the problems the locals face and how to better tackle or face them, as well as transfer them to the appropriate quarters in certain situations. Mr. Abubakar Iyawa made a tour through administrative, health, educational, traditional, religious, and some other commercial institutions within the town of Ezeka. The people who expressed satisfaction at the SDO's visit said they are particularly hopeful that his presence in the division will reinforce security and orderliness. Some elites said they wish he maintains the collaborative spirit he portrayed during his visit for the growth of the entire division.
And in more news, we take you to the southwest region of the country where elites of the Boya subdivision have been told to assist the government in the campaign to promote community participation in health development. Mr. Chekem Abraham, the divisional officer for the Boya subdivision, was speaking during the donation of a 6-room ward to the Boya Integrated Health Center. A Boya-based correspondent Derek Chato has the details of the report.
That I did not officially received the new extension of the Boya Town Integrated Health Center.
The Boya Town Integrated Health Center is today handed an extension of a 6-room ward equipped with all medical requirements, donated by an elite of Boya, Sir Humphrey Ekema Monono. The divisional officer for Boya, Mr. Chekem Abraham, while presiding at the handing over ceremony, challenges other elites of the subdivision to emulate such health initiative for good health is a tool to development. Handing over the keys to the center, the Donu Sir Humphrey Ekema Monono said his biggest wish is to see a healthy community.
My dear people of Boya Town, in making this gesture to you at the beginning of this year is also a mark of attention and a clarion call to you all to take keen interest in your individual and collective well-being. Our teeming youthful population is an indication of a vibrant, productive, yet vulnerable community open to many health hazards. Let us all make it a challenge as well as a commitment to eradicate from our environs such ailments as malaria, cholera, worms, measles, etc.
Celebrating this health achievement, the regional delegate of public health, Dr. Mbomenje Victor, said Sir Monono's initiative is perfectly in line with the Cameroon government campaign to promote community participation in health development. Concluding, the chairman of the health center, Samuel Ekome, said they will use this fortune to save humanity.
The gift that Sir Humphrey Ekema will be used well, because this is a cry we had for so many years.
Now, Cameroon is bracing up to commemorate the 2013 edition of the Bilingualism Day that is going to take place tomorrow. Our reporters visited some bilingual secondary schools to see how ready the first batch of bilingual BPC students are preparing to face their upcoming exams. Senior reporter Christoby reports.
Collège Saint-Michel here in Douala is amongst the 40 secondary schools chosen for the promotion of bilingualism in Cameroon. This initiative started with the 2009 Common Entrance examinations into Forms 1, following which only 60 students were to be admitted into the bilingual cycle. This process turns out to be very unique.
We have other aspects that we carry on that other classes, normal classes don't do. For example, we have literature and we have intensive English. So we have the books that we are using in literature, and we have been working on them, and I think we are actually, to an extent, we are prepared.
The first candidates are busy preparing ahead of the challenge.
Yeah, to an extent, I think they are ready. You know, it's a classroom and it's made up of many different people, many different students with different levels. When I look at the performance of a majority of the students, I think they are ready.
In this secondary school, certain lectures are given out in French and English, being the two official languages of Cameroon. The objective of this initiative by the government remains to form perfectly bilingual youths able to defend the country wherever need be. It should be recalled that it is thanks to the ministerial order signed by the Minister for Secondary Education and dated June 29, 2012, that the BPC Bilingue was created.
Crystal Wide reporting on the bilingualism day that is going to be commemorated tomorrow. Now, the Special Criminal Court has slammed the former Managing Director of Cameroon Civil Aviation Authority, Roger Ntongongene, 12 years imprisonment, and he was found guilty of having embezzled 300 million francs CFA. We surely shall be coming back to that in our subsequent newscast. And that does it for this segment of the news. Talking Point is up next. Thanks indeed, viewers, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. Bia's visit in France is still the talk of the day, and yesterday we talked about we evaluated the relationship between France and Cameroon, and tonight he spoke to journalists yesterday, and that's going to be our focus of discussion. We have an SDF Member of Parliament, Mr. Evariste Foposi. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, madam.
Yes, like I earlier said, we invited you here tonight within the context of Bia's visit in France. Precisely what he told journalists yesterday, and he said that he is not yet tired to the Cameroonian population. What do you make of his statement, the statement he made in France yesterday?
You know, it's a typical Bia declaration, because people wanted to know why he's so long in power, and he answered that he's not tired. That's not, to be tired is not a democratic principle, you see. So I think it's clearly that he refused to respond to answer that question, because, you know, he's very embarrassed. He's there for 30 years. And why is he there for 30 years? He said that he was elected by Cameroonian. Which Cameroonian? There have been no free and fair election in this country. He knows, and he knows that French media know very well that situation. So it was a ridiculous answer, and it doesn't cancel the major question people are asking to him. Why he is there? Why is he refusing to let democracy principle be installed in Cameroon? Why?
So it means that that was not the real answer to the question that was posed to him by journalists.
No, it was not the real answer. He refused to answer the question because he was very embarrassed. I'm sure that he cannot give a correct answer, because he knows clearly that people know why he's there and how he has been there for more than 30 years.
So now, with the declaration, do you think that Cameroonians should expect a democratic transition in power, like you are just saying that this is not possible since he has been in power for a very long time now?
No, Cameroonians should strengthen the fight against the anti-democratic system of renouveau, and Cameroon should continue to fight and to push Mr. Biya and his regime out of power.
And he says that there are no political prisoners in Cameroon. That is what he told journalists yesterday. What do you have to say about that?
It is easy to make such a declaration, knowing that when there is a political contradiction in the country, they turn it into a criminal matter and they put you in prison. How can you tell people that there is no political prisoner in Cameroon? What Mr. Titus Edouard is doing in prison, that famous boy, Michel Atangana, what he is doing in prison, those are political prisoners.
What makes
so you cannot say that there is no political prisoner in Cameroon.
So do you have the impression that the declaration was not, the declaration is not true? Is that
it's
what
not true.
Saying?
It's not true.
So
it's not true, and that's why he cannot say such a thing here in Cameroon. He go there, he say it there in order to please the French media and French politicians only.
So in other words, he's trying to, the head of state is contradicting himself, given that I can quite remember that some members of the opposition party wrote a petition demanding the release of Thierry Michel Atangana, an indication that he is also contradicting himself.
That's it is, madam. That's the truth. He's contradicting himself, knowing that there is a political problem in Cameroon. There's the permanent abuse of human rights in Cameroon, or political rights in Cameroon. So he cannot go in France and say that there is no political problem in Cameroon. There is. And that is why we are still fighting. Cameroon people is fighting in order to let democracy take place in Cameroon.
Saying that he's, in other words, putting some persons in jail because he wants to. Are you creating the you are giving the impression that he's maybe putting or detaining some alleged embezzlers because he wants to settle political scores? Is that what you are trying to say? That some people are in jail that were not supposed to be?
That is well known by everybody, madam. Let us take some example. All those who are in prison now, are they the more corrupted civil servants in Cameroon? No. We know that around Mr. Biya, that there are people more corrupted than those who are in prison now. So those who are in prison are there because they challenged Mr. Biya and they wanted to take his place. That's all. Mr. Biya is not fighting against corruption. Why? If he is fighting against corruption, why is he blocking the Article 66 of the Constitution? Why does he not declare his asset? Why? It's because he doesn't want to fight against corruption. So all those who have been arrested up to now, people know clearly that they were called at that time G11. Some people who wanted to push Mr. Biya out of power, and he took profit of that situation to arrest them and to jail them.
Now, talking about other things that he equally mentioned today, he talked about how Cameroon is a vast construction site, inviting businessmen to come and invest in Cameroon. Do you see this visit in France bringing change in Cameroon? Do you think so?
No change, madam. No change. And even the way he will welcome in France is a clear indication that we cannot expect anything from that visit. You see how he was frustrated, he was humiliated. As a head of state, there were not even a single due or a single director from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to welcome him at the airport. There were only the French ambassador in Cameroon and the Cameroonian ambassador in France. It means that there were no, he forced to go in France, but the French were not in the position to welcome him, but kindly they accepted his invitation. He went there, so we cannot expect anything from there. He went there in order to polish his image, that's all. All the people he took with him, the so-called business, Cameroon France Business Forum, is a great job. We cannot expect anything from there.
And looking at the relationship that France is having with Cameroon, what makes you say that nothing will come out, nothing fruitful will come out from the Bia's visit in France? He's going to be there for 6 days.
Because France is not satisfied with Mr. Bia management, Mr. Bia governance in Cameroon. And you know, the business atmosphere is worse in Cameroon. No serious businessman can come and invest. You see, they're only Chinese. But let us wait and see. Will the Chinese continue to come in such atmosphere when they are not sure that tomorrow, next year, their business will be safe in Cameroon? We are not sure that tomorrow, if Mr. Bia is not there, there will be a peaceful transition in Cameroon. Those are situations we cannot permit any serious businessman to come and invest in Cameroon. So we cannot expect anything from it. It was only a communication show in France by Bia regime.
He's going to France to be there for 6 days, meeting French people, meeting the French president, and you are saying that it's not going to bring out any positive fruit.
Not again, madam. I told you that it is clear that he forced to go in France, and kindly French politicians accepted to receive him, but they didn't welcome him because he had nothing to propose them, and they had nothing to offer. And you will see, we will have nothing back when you come back. It was only a communication show in France.
It means that the visit was actually not called for. Is that what you're saying? That
yes,
it was not even important that
no doubt.
Bia should leave for France?
No doubt.
The visit is not going to be fruitful in any way. So we called you here to also talk about maybe, of course, Bia's visit in France. He's saying that Cameroon is a vast construction site and many projects are taking place in the country, inviting also foreign partners or businessmen to come and invest in Cameroon. When you look at the country today, do you see the construction, do you see that the country is really a vast construction site, like he said today?
Let me ask you back at the question. Do you think that Cameroon is a vast constructing country now? We are still expecting. He has been promising for more than 5 years the great achievement, the great realization. We are still waiting for it. And mainly for the impact of those realizations on the economy in general and in the Cameroonian life particularly. We are still waiting.
And of course, thanks indeed, Mr. Evariste Foposi, for joining us tonight. And we wish to have you some other time again.
Thank you very much.
And to you viewers, we thank you so much for watching. We have come to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast on ATV. We thank you so much for your keen attention. Have a wonderful stay in the company of our programs. Good evening.